Jason was 25, and he was tired. He had spent the last 5 years scraping by, working every job he could find. Morning shifts as a driver, afternoons as a construction worker, and nights painting in tall buildings. Sleep was a luxury he couldn't afford, but no matter how hard he worked, his bank balance stayed close to zero. Rent was overdue. His fridge was nearly empty. Every day was a battle, and Jason was losing. Jason climbed into his old car for his evening driving shift. The steering wheel was cracked. The engine rattled every time he pressed the gas. He picked up passenger after passenger, businessmen, couples, tourists, all of them heading to restaurants and hotels Jason couldn't afford. "Keep the change," one man said, handing him a $5 bill. Jason forced a smile. "Thanks." The man walked off without a second glance. Jason sighed and pulled away. Later that week, Jason took a high-paying painting job in a skyscraper. "You'll need to work on the 40th floor. Just get through the shift." Jason's chest tightened, but he needed the money. He climbed onto the platform suspended outside the building. Wind whipped through his hair as he leaned over the edge, paintbrush in hand. Below him, the city stretched out like a sea of light. A single mistake, and he'd fall. His hands shook as he painted. He whispered to himself, "Just get through the shift." A week later, Jason sat in his dark apartment. His wallet was empty. His landlord's voice echoed in his head. "One more week, Jason, or you're out." Jason pressed his face into his hands. "What am I doing wrong?" His phone buzzed. A job offer, another driving shift. Jason closed his eyes. He didn't want to get up. He didn't want to keep trying. That night, Jason picked up another passenger. An older man, sharply dressed in a dark suit, stepped into the back seat. "Where to?" Jason asked. "Just drive," the man said. Jason's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Rough night?" the man asked. Jason sighed. "More like a rough life." The man chuckled. "Sounds familiar." Jason frowned at him in the rearview mirror. "I know what it's like to struggle," the man said. "To work until your hands bleed and still have nothing." Jason's eyes narrowed. "What did you do about it?" The man leaned forward, his voice low. "I found the right opportunity." Jason frowned. "What kind of opportunity?" The man smiled. "Keep driving, and you'll see." Jason drove through the city. The man directed him toward a quiet part of town, a side street Jason had never noticed before. They stopped in front of an old building with blacked-out windows. The man handed Jason a business card. "Meet me here tomorrow, noon." Jason turned the card over. There was no name, just an address. Jason hesitated. "What's this about?" The man smiled. "A better life." He stepped out of the car and disappeared into the night. Jason sat there, the card between his fingers. His heart raced. He had no idea what he was about to step into. The next morning, Jason sat at his kitchen table. The card sat in front of him. Noon was an hour away. His phone buzzed, another driving shift. Jason stared at the phone, then at the card. A normal life, or a chance at something bigger? He grabbed the card and stood. A new beginning or a dangerous mistake? Jason was about to find out. What did the mysterious man offer Jason? And how will his life change forever? Find out in part 2.